So we have a beginning this morning where markets are soft. This is mixed earnings reports, worry or not maybe worry, but anxiety about how Nvidia will report later today, I'm sure goes into it. And there's also, some saber rattling and things going on with Russia and Ukraine. Russia apparently is building some fallout shelters. Are you ready for that? Anyway, in general, though, the dip is not that big, and the dip in Tesla gave me an opportunity to, you know, have a little satisfying addition to my share count this morning. So it'd be okay with me if it dipped down a little more because I kept a little available just in case that happens. Anyway, you might be interested in reading an article I just read on Politico. You might want to read the whole thing. I've just grabbed out this salient portion that might give us a little insight into the ongoing relationship with Musk and Trump. It says it like this: Elon, like President Trump, doesn't give a about what people think about him. And President Trump finds that refreshing, said a person who watched him and Musk interact recently. Elon is probably the only other man in the world who can truly relate to President Trump. That's a big thing. I'm sure you've got the same situation sometimes where you're like, I can't find people that I can relate to. Well, imagine these two in terms of being in the multi-billionaire class, in the entrepreneurial class of having accomplished things that the rest of us can only imagine what it must feel like to be this accomplished and to have this much responsibility on a daily basis just kind of on your shoulders. So yeah, I think that could be a big piece of what's going on there. Said the friendship appears especially satisfying for Musk, who is in the room for startup-style discussions, unlike any he's been part of before. There aren't any larger problems than being the president of the United States. And so I think he's fascinated with solving problems, and this gives him a front row seat in helping solve problems that you otherwise might be never be faced with. Nothing close, said the person close to Trump. Though Musk has lost out on some Trump decisions since the election, it's not as if he's been without pull. The president-elect's visit to the SpaceX launch alone is attention most CEOs could only wish for. Well, CNN had another take. And again, you could read the whole article. I'm going to only take the clip out that I liked or that I agreed with, because there was some more of it that was negative. But anyway, CNN says this: by palling around with Musk, the 78-year-old Trump secured an entry into the young male subculture where the Tesla pioneer is seen as an icon. Their friendship also brought Trump credibility among other opinion formers that reached this demographic, which was evident in his appearance on YouTube shows and podcasts with Joe Rogan, the Nelk Boys, Theo Von, and the Barstool Sports. All of this helped improve Trump's standing in the election with young male voters, a constituency not only helped him improve Trump's standing, but got those young male voters to go out and vote. This is a constituency that Democrats are having zero ability to reach, because these young male voters, these young males, are feeling completely like nobody cares about them. Trump has rarely seemed as at ease or authentic as he does in these venues, talking with authority about wrestling and football and conspiracy theories. One of the most remarkable moments came on Von's show when Trump became unusually animated and asking his host about his past cocaine use. Trump's growing culture clout, Trump's visit to, that's the subheadline, I'm sorry. Trump's visit to Musk's launch pad was also the latest occasion since the election when he has inserted himself into high-profile photo ops. The image reflects the developing reality that Trump, who has always been an icon in the UFC and reality TV worlds, is indisputably becoming a cultural figure as well as a political one. The UFC's smash mouth image explains a lot of Trump's political style, and now a Trump dance is going viral. This is so crazy. These, football players are doing the Trump dance in the end zone. These are not typically thought of as being the Trump camp. His political opponents saw his strange jiggling on stage at his rallies as a sign of fraying cognitive health. His supporters perceived humor and self-deprecation. Now the president-elect's two-fisted shimmy is being adopted by athletes in Major League sports with boogie tripe style to celebrate big fight wins, touchdowns, and goals. This is heady stuff for a Republican Party that has for years struggled to match Democrats when it comes to big-time celebrity support. Meanwhile, a very different celebrity is enamored by all things Tesla. Kim Kardashian has loaded up some of her social media with pics and videos of her, the Cybertruck, and shockingly, the Cybercab and Optimus. Some are thinking that Tesla's paying her huge amounts of money for this publicity cube, but I don't think so. I think maybe KK is just having fun being the only one who gets to play with these new toys. I'd like to be able to play with these new toys. As often noted here, I certainly think Tesla should advertise, and there are specific issues that need to be spread to potential buyers, like the availability of charging stations and what real range things, what the realities are of range and the realities are about fires, etc. I think this needs to be advertised, but having said that, there's nobody compares in history that I know of to Elon Musk in his ability to get publicity, which he has proven in spades over the last 2 months. So there you go. Barron's has this morning. U.S. listed shares of NIO fell 3.9% after the Chinese electric vehicle maker reported a third quarter loss that was wider than a year earlier. That's not good, as revenues fell 2.1 to 18 billion won. That's a lot less than dollars, lower than analysts' expectations. In other words, the dollars are, I don't know what a won, I can't do it in my head, but it would be a very small number of billions. I have no expectations for NIO to survive. I don't think that they've got the right idea. I don't think that their program of swapping out batteries is going to be a long-term success. I've never had any interest in them. Let's go down to this from Elon Musk. This is a quote from his X this morning. Successful ocean landing of Starship. We will do one more ocean landing of the ship. If that goes well, then SpaceX will attempt to catch the ship with the tower. So this, of course, would be a case of one tower catching the booster and one tower catching the ship. It's mind-boggling. It's just amazing to be thinking about. This could be very, very soon. He goes on to say, I am highly confident that we can send several uncrewed starships to Mars in 2 years when there'll be an opening, a window of time when Mars and Earth are close together. He says, if those ships don't increment the crater count on Mars, so if they land well, then the crewed ships can go in 4 years or 2 years after that when the next window opens. In case some of you are new to the channel, this is Randy Kirk. What we like you to do right now is to hit the that like button, because that helps the channel. Hit subscribe, because I want to be 100,000. I need 100,000 subscribers, and I'm basically at 25,000. That's a long, but that's only taken me 2 years. So let's see. Yeah, so in 6 more years, I could be at 100,000. Did I do the math right? I think I did. Anyway, but I'd like to get there a lot faster. So that means you need to subscribe, hit notify, because we got Brian White and Jeff Lutz coming up later today. Now, by the way, I have messed up on my new method. I was going to put these midday shows, what used to be my midday shows, late at night at 7:45, and that's 2 nights in a row. I've forgotten to do it. So the Brian White video will be up tonight at 7:45. Scott Walter, I think he's traveling the world and doing all kinds of things. I can't even track him down right now. But so tonight will be Brian White after Jeff Lutz. And that's what we're going to have later on today. So you want to hit notify to be reminded of those, because they will be excellent shows. And then, of course, you want to buy your Cybertruck Bottle Opener. It's time to buy it. The time is now. The 𝐖𝐞𝐽𝐝 letter this morning says, wow, prediction markets are now pricing in a 68% chance that Bitcoin will hit 100,000 this year, according to 𝐂𝐲. There's also a 30% chance that Bitcoin will hit 100,000 by the end of November. Prior to the election, there was a 1% chance of 100,000 by the end of this month. Crypto markets are truly doing something historic right now. How high will they really go? And from Amity Investing, Amitis, anyway, AMITIS Investing on X. Walmart beat on the top and bottom line for their earnings while also raising their guidance, indicating that the consumer is still spending and retailers are able to show continued growth. Their stock hit an all-time high at 88.29. Walmart is now outperforming Google, Microsoft, Tesla, Apple, Meta, Amazon this year to date, as the retailer's up 63%. Walmart. Who knew? So, okay. So then I get a note from Brian Wong this morning, sent me over something, and he says, he mentions this Walmart beat, and there's some other information coming in that people making over $100,000 a year are over at Walmart spending their money right now, where normally they might be spending that at Macy's or someplace else. Anyway, and that is maybe part of the reason Walmart's doing so well. On the other hand, this from Reuters, rival Target's forecasts for the holiday quarter were significantly subdued, with executives saying demand remains weak for their higher margin items such as home goods and electronics. We know that the durables have not been doing well, but you've got Walmart killing it and Target not. So what's going on, Target? Despite a rate cut from the U.S. Federal Reserve, okay, this is a completely separate thing. Nope, this is part of that article. Despite a rate cut from the U.S. Federal Reserve the first in 4 years, consumer spending on non-essential items has remained uninspiring, and industry analysts expect a deal-heavy holiday shopping season yet again. So let the deals begin, especially on these high-ticket items. Overall, holiday shopping is expected to grow at its slowest pace in 6 years, but apparently it's expected to grow, according to separate reports from the National Retail Federation and Doolittle. This year, there are just 26 days between Black Friday, the beginning of the holiday shopping period, and Christmas, compared to like last year, 31 days. So a big difference. The fourth quarter will be fun to watch. Well, I guess if that's what turns you on. I mean, I do pay a little of attention to it because I've been interested in retail, sold Walmart and Kmart and Target and Amazon and everybody else over the years. So I'm interested in retail. The fourth quarter will be fun to watch, it says, and the calendar is not our favorite with fewer days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I suspect when all is said and done, it will be similar to the kind of momentum that we've seen in the first three quarters, according to Walmart CEO McMillan. The shorter calendar prompted retailers to try and pull forward some demand earlier in the year, offering heavier discounts as early as July. Gen Z consumers are more comfortable shopping on phones. That's driving a shift towards mobile spending and are likely to influence families to do the same over the holidays, according to 𝐖𝐞𝐽 Kim, assistant professor of marketing at Carnegie Mellon. Sometimes I feel like this is the end of that article. Now this is Randy. Sometimes I feel like the Lone Ranger in my focus on demographics, but I am in good company. Elon Musk obviously finds demographics to be critical in making wise analysis about economies and about the future and about how things are going to play out. But here's one more person who's paying attention to demographics from MarketWatch. Only about 30% of the U.S. population is older than 55 years old. That would be you and me. No, not all of you, but most of you. Anyway, and that group now owns 79% of stocks and equity funds, as well as about 71% of housing wealth, the researchers said in the outlook for the year ahead. I've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this. I believe it is something that we should all be paying a lot of attention to in terms of how people that are over 55 spend their wealth, as well as how they invest their wealth. And if you're not paying attention to this, you should. I'll continue to talk about it here, which is why you should come back so that we can talk about it together. There's a notable shift from a quarter century ago when younger generations shared in a greater slice of asset wealth. The youngest age bracket from birth to 39 years of age now owns only 7% of housing wealth and 5% of stocks and equity funds, down from 11%. So a huge drop in that segment. Now they'll be getting this wealth. It's going to be transferred to them over the next 20 years. But in terms of actually building it themselves, not so much. After touching a string of fresh records, stocks are set for another banner year of gains. The S&P 500 index was up 24% on the year up to this last weekend. To put that in perspective, there has been only 5 times in the past 25 years when the S&P has gained more than 24%. Still, bonds should do well in the years ahead from a demand perspective, given that older adults will be steadily shifting allocation from equities to fixed income. This is according to Deutsche Bank's Secularized Products Research Team led by Edward Reardon. I don't necessarily agree with this. The amount of wealth that this group has, or the over 55 group has. Now, individual situations, somebody that's only got 500,000 is different than somebody who's got 3 million or 10 million. But the reality is that the overall wealth of this particular group, I think, is allowing them to have more fun by playing some equities compared to other groups prior times from this age group. So I think that the equity market will do very well in the future. However, I do believe that bonds are going down. I'm sorry, rates are going down. There will be a bond market rally. I have lots of company in this from the top bond experts, but it may take a few more months, but eventually it is going to go up. And we're going to be seeing those 10-year yields drop back down into that 3.25 area where they really should be right now if things were normal, which they aren't. Okay, a couple of interesting items here this morning from Elon Musk on the Gates, Matt Gaetz. He says, Matt Gaetz has 3 critical assets that are needed for the AG role: a big brain, a spine of steel, and an axe to grind. So that's Elon Musk. He's interviewed Matt, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he hasn't. Anyway, so this would be fun to see how that all plays out. Also, in the strange bedfellows department of this particular show, we have this from Fortune today. This is the point on which Alex Soros responded. You know who Alex Soros is, right? That would be the son of the villain Soros. He responded writing, "It is not a powerful mandate," speaking of the Trump win, although it's almost 2%. And the numbers are important. They provide Democrats and progressives, however, an argument against despair and surrender. This was a close election, not a surprise. Really? Oh, gosh, could have fooled me. But Musk, who poured millions into the Trump campaign and joked he would be if the Republican nominee didn't win, replied to Soros, writing, "I would be curious to meet and understand your goals better." Well, the 39-year-old Soros replied, "I often learn most from people whose views are different than my own. Open to a meeting." Well, there you go. That will be something to watch for. Anyway, stocks are not happy this morning with Target's triple miss, missing on the bottom line, missing on the top line, and missing on guidance. And they're also not very happy with the various guidances with regard to the holiday retail trade. And so, as I mentioned earlier, the market is down this morning. Let's go ahead and just see how bad it is. Well, not that bad. We've got the Dow. Well, let's start with Tesla. Tesla is down 878. I need to finish this show so I can go buy some more because that's getting close to my target. Okay, so we've got the Dow Jones down 129. We've got NASDAQ down 218, and we've got the S&P down 46. Again, a lot of this, I think, is just kind of curiosity about what's going to happen with Nvidia, because Nvidia is down $3.11. Look at that. Meta down 5. Microsoft down 6. Yeah. So all down. Cathie Wood's pretty much all down as well. Square, even with their big investment in cryptocurrencies, they're down this morning. So yeah, kind of a sour morning out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the percentages. That would be the Dow down 0.29, NASDAQ down 1.14, S&P down 0.77, Tesla almost exactly on its normal, doubling the NASDAQ at down 2.60%. All right, let's go ahead and look at part of the reason maybe would be the bonds being up, and that would be correct if you had guessed that. If you answered that, you got it right. We've got the 10-year up 2.9 basis points, back up to 4.4. And then we've got the 2-year up 2.1. We've got the 2-month actually down 0.9 of a basis point. And the 3-month up of only 0.5 of a basis point. So that is starting to shrink that again. I'm going to be interested to see this re-inversion on those short bonds. But having the short bonds at around 4.5 is I think helpful in the long term. The shorts are long anyway. Let's go on to oil. Oil market is up pretty flat this morning, up 11 cents for Texas and down 2 cents for Brent. Now Brent is unchanged. Anyway, we've got still under $70 at 69.50 for Texas Intermediate, Brent at 73.35, so less than $4. That usually would indicate less concern about Middle East turmoil. And there is some peace talks, some talks of ceasefires and things. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. Natural gas, though, back over $3 at $3 and we call it $3.10, up 3.37 today. Gold also up again, $20 at 2,651. Silver down just a tad, 0.25 at 31.18. We've got copper up 0.3 at $4.15. The dollar snapping back, it says, after a 3-day slide, but I'm just showing it up a little against the yen at 0.31 and down a little against the euro at 0.60 down. We've got Bitcoin up almost 2,000 at 94,835, an all-time high. Yeah, this is heading towards 100,000. But boy, I expected to see real resistance between here and there. That's just me. I know nothing about Bitcoin. Remember, keep that in mind. I know nothing. Zip zero. So don't pay any attention to what I say about Bitcoin. Okay, back to what are the markets are trending up at this point. So they've bounced off the bottom and pretty much across the board there is it's gone down, it's bounced, and now it's heading back up a little bit. I gotta go get that some more stock this morning before it goes back up. Okay, so let's see. Nicholas Gibbs, that's what I'm going to put up here. You want to go see Nicholas Gibbs? Nicholas Gibbs is young. That's important. That gives him a different demographic. He's speaking from a different world, okay, because I forget, somewhere in his early 30s, I think. And he's done very well. He's been investing for many, many years, I think almost 20 years. He's been an investor. And he also is got some special knowledge in terms of his job and what he does, in terms of his technological knowledge on things like the cloud. So you want to go look at yesterday night? We had a very interesting conversation. So if you got a minute, you might want to check that out. And we got Jeff Lutz coming up today and Brian White. As always, it'll be great. So what have I got left for you? Buy your Cybertruck. If it's going to be a soft Christmas and there's fewer buying days, that would be a good reason for you right now to go down below, check it out, and buy your customized, put your own logo on there. Do it now. Yeah, come on now. Let's get busy. It's been great talking to you.